there is nothing in cinema, there is nothing in anime that compares to that moment. And it's crazy because then once they get out of it, then they're like back to being your brother. And you're just like, oh my God, like, you're still there, you know? It's really hard. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Gungrave for a while, so just brace yourselves. I'm going to apologize in advance. I know I'm not supposed to, but, you know, and I think it's kind of interesting.
People, when I found out too, I was shook.
Yeah.
It was your best episode, just saying.
Let's go. Hey, I like it. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Life with Anime Podcast, where you come to be entertained, find some escape and relief, and where we talk about the impact that anime has on our lives. We are your host, Family Man Joe.
And Mr. Music Major. How y'all doing?
Today we have a very special guest, one of our few special guests that we've had so far. And this one, I've actually been watching her for a while, which is awesome. So the fact to have her on here, I've been watching since Nerdist, and you've been on there and stuff like that. So it's been a while, which I absolutely love. I remember seeing you on the television at one point on YouTube. So it's been really cool to like talk to you for a bit and to now have you on the podcast. But intro for her, man. She's a former D1 volleyball player, someone who is no stranger to being in front of the camera and in the spotlight. Former Emmy nominated news anchor for both Fox and ABC. She's hosted for many of our favorite nerdy companies like IGN, Crunchyroll, Ubisoft, and many, many more. You might recognize her from her stellar performance on Netflix's The Circle, her English voice acting on Netflix's Is She the Wolf? She's had the pleasure of interviewing people like Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Zach Galifianakis, and Samuel Jackson. Whether there's a nerd-packed event that needs hosting or a red carpet that needs walking, as she put it during her player introduction on The Circle, this 6'2" Amazonian goddess is there. Welcome the one and only Jacki JING. Jacki, how you doing?
Goodness, I'm fantastic. That was like one of the best introductions I've ever had in my life.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's probably the
it was
one
long.
that I've had.
You didn't have to say all that.
No, you had to. No.
Had to give you your flowers. That's probably
Okay.
the longest one that we've had too. So I love it. I love it. And it's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. That speaks a lot to who you are and what you've done.
No one ever brings up the Division I volleyball. Like I never hear people.
Hey, athletes.
Joe's the athlete.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That made me kind of smile. I was like, oh yeah. You know.
Good.
But that was also a very, very long time ago. But
it's okay. We're I mean, yes, it's been a while for me too. Well, I guess not a while for me playing, but D1 college athletes has been a while. So I mean, you still playing on some beach volleyball? I've seen too, doing some things.
I play like 4 days a week actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I like my favorite things in the world are anime, video games, and volleyball in no specific order, to be honest. But yeah. And then I like TV and movies a lot too.
I mean, you would have to be on screen constantly and to be a news anchor and to do all the things that you do. So it makes sense.
I hate news though.
Do you?
I hate news.
I'm not a news person. He watches the news like all day long.
I am an old man.
I think I'm traumatized because I worked in the industry for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I was in my 20s, waking up at 3 a.m, sometimes working overnight shifts. And I think that I'm sure we'll talk about this at one point, but like when you're an athlete, at least when I was younger, I had a really bad time with boundaries. Like I didn't know how to put down boundaries because like when you're an athlete at a high level, and I'm like nothing like Joe was, but it's like, when you're playing D1 or you're like on the varsity team when you're like in high school and stuff like that, you're never going to tell your coach like, no, I can't do anything, like you're like, I can do, and you tell your body that like, I'm like, I can do anything. And then I remember when I was like my sophomore year in high school, I like went for a ball that like, it's like, why would you have gone for that? And I like tore all the ligaments in my ankle. It's just like, I think that sports did a lot of good things for my life, but I think that it also made me have a problem with boundaries. So then I went from being this Division I volleyball player, and kind of just being like, yes, whatever you want, right? And pushing my body to the max, to the limit all the time, which has its pros and cons again, right?
Absolutely.
And then I went to TV news and they were like, do you want to work the overnight shift? Do you want to work like 10 hours straight?
Yes.
Yeah. And I just was like, yes. And then I really hit like probably one of the darkest moments of my life. And a couple times, to be honest. And then that was when I was like, I'm so out of this. Like, I'm so done with news, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that obviously there's people who are great. And you know, news is complicated, right? Like, I don't even want to dive into that because that is so complicated. But there are journalists who are very, very good at their job.
Yeah.
But I also think the industry is super problematic right now. And I think that for me, it was just my personal experience. Like, newsrooms are extremely toxic. They are not good work environments, you know?
Okay.
For all of my experiences. And again, I only had 10 years, but I
that's
have
not only is 10. That's a long time.
I have no positive experience.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I mean, I have some, I think. Like, I love doing feel good stories, or stories that I thought were like really bringing awareness to really important issues, or a really tragic story, and like explaining the people involved story, you know? So but to be honest, it was super taxing on your mental health. Like, I don't know how anybody, like, I have kids come to me and they're like, oh, I kind of want to get into TV news, or I'm in TV news, but I love how you got out of TV news. And I'm like, leave or never go. I'm like, I crush dreams. I'm like, it's an unhealthy work environment.
You're saving lives is what you're doing. Not crushing dreams. You're saving lives, Jacki. Think of it that way.
Yeah, you're right. But it's like, I wish someone would have told me when I was in my 20s, like, you don't need to completely compromise your life for this job, you know, which I didn't even really want to do, but I did because it's what my parents and I thought what society wanted me to do, you know? So anyway, sorry, I'm a yapper, you guys. So don't get me started.
No,
you're good. You're good. That's what this is for. It's for us to
good. I was like, because I can talk.
No, that boundary thing was so good. Again, like, unlike you two, I am not an athlete. But what I do is music. And so, and I went to school for it. So boundaries were like a big thing for me, because as my professor, like, you got to be in the practice room 6 hours a day. If you got to play at a with the concert choir, I need you to go there. If you got to play outside of the concert choir, I need you there. For church, you got to play at church too. You need to develop your skills always and forever. So I have always had an issue with not saying no. So that's an epiphany for me. Jesus. Oh my
dude.
God.
It's still hard for me to say no to things, you know, like I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I mean, I don't want to like go too heavy here, you know, but I definitely have a childhood that set me up to be a people pleaser, you know? And I think that it's, you know, I had to have a really intense healing journey over the past like few years. And it was learning to say no to people, and I'm still working on it. Like, my boyfriend was like, you know, I'm a freelance host, so I'll say yes to a lot of gigs, and then he'll be like, why are you saying yes to this? And you're like totally overextending yourself. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I still need to work on it, you know, but I think I've gotten a lot better at saying no. And I think I've gotten a lot better at walking away from things that are like not serving me, you know. I'm like, and I'm over this, which I used to always have that athlete, or I don't even know if it's an athlete mentality. It's just like this mentality that I'll get through it. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And it's like, no, dude, don't subject yourself to that. Like, why, you know? So, but we have the same mindset, you know? So, by the way, should I call you Mr. Music Major?
You can call me Preston.
You just call me.
Okay. I was like, should I be calling you that every time? Okay.
No.
Preston Joe, got it. Okay. I'm gonna call you guys Mr. Music Major and Family Man Joe every time.
You know what? That's fine.
Okay.
Which I have heard some of your singing videos. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. Which videos?
There was one, I can't remember. It was a few. I think either Joe sent it to me or I looked it up myself. But you have like a very theater-esque voice, and I absolutely love it.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. I, you know, we were talking about, you know, dark points in the news career and everything. Basically, you know, I'm half Chinese. My mom was a single tiger mom, you know, and she, you know, frankly was really harsh with us and really intense. And I think that I'm grateful for that in some ways, because I am probably one of the hardest workers. Everyone's always like, you're working so hard all the time, you know? But then, again, just not not being able to say no to things. What was the question? Sorry, I have ADHD
No,
so
you're
bad.
good. He was just talking about your voice. You sing it. You're good.
Right. So my mom, I wanted to make sure she was happy.
Mhm.
And I was like, I need to pick a career that is, looked well upon in society. And so I picked journalist, and then when I was in college, everybody was like, hey, you have a really good look for TV. I don't know what that means, but they said it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. So then I did some internships for on-camera TV stations, right? And then that's how I got into it. What was the question? Oh, my voice. Okay, sorry. So then...
Oh, this is going to be a good time.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm so ADHD. So then my... basically, like, I was doing this news career, and then... One, I got really, really depressed in a really, really bad place. And then Ian passed away and I got really, really depressed in a bad place. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And like, what do I want? And then I think because I felt really guilty. I've actually never talked about this before. I think I felt really guilty about Ian dying, like I felt really bad about it. And his dream, he was really into video games more than me. Like we both like video games. My brother was, in the gaming chair 8 hours a day, not a joke, probably one of the top players in World of Warcraft. He played every single one of his console games on the hardest level, and he blew through them. He was just like a very, very skilled gamer, and this was before people went pro and stuff like that, or it was like just starting. And I like, it's just crazy to me because to see the world it is now, I'm like, oh my gosh, if Ian, he just missed it by a generation.
I kept saying, like, if like back in the day when I was killing on Halo, like, back in those days, if we was pro gamers then, the whole football thing would have been dead.
It wasn't there yet for us.
It wasn't there for us.
And so then I moved to LA, and it was really for Ian. Like, I was like, I want to fulfill his dream, and I think it was still not really for myself, but it was a little bit because it got me out of TV news. But I really was like, I want to see if I can do gaming hosting, right? And I literally, people are always like, how did you get into this career? How did you get into this career? Dude, I went to IGN.com. I saw they had an opening and I applied. I didn't do anything cool. I didn't network. I didn't do anything. I just plain old applied. And I'm really fortunate that they selected me, So then they picked me, and I worked as a gaming and esports and all this stuff for a little bit. And I just was still I was still unhappy. I think esports in the gaming industry is a lot more cutthroat than people know.
Really?
And they think it's like all fun and games, and it's like pretty intense, right? But there's parts of it that aren't, so I had to like find my community in the gaming world, and I've found some wonderful humans now, but I had to go through some rough patches in the gaming community as well. And then last year I was like, dude, like, I love video games and I love anime and I love hosting, but it's not like my biggest dream. My biggest dream was to be an actor. And then I was like, why have I been suppressing that my whole life? And I was like, I suppressed it because there was no way in my mind, I never even asked my mom. She might've been okay with it, but I never even asked her, And so I just never even entertained the idea. And frankly, there was not a lot of Asian women on TV, period. Chun-Li was probably the first Asian woman that I actually remember, to be completely honest, and then obviously like Michelle Yeoh, but it was like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And then there was like Lucy Liu. It was like very, not a lot, So I was like, I could never be an actor, But then actually Michelle Yeoh's One for Everything Everywhere All at Once was like, you're never past your prime, And I was like,
I still need to watch it.
Yeah. But I was like, I'm going to try to be an actor. So I've been taking acting classes, voice acting. So that's why that whole long story was because, that makes me happy to hear, because it's like, I have a lot of fun performing and using my voice, So I hope someday, I've been getting some gigs here and there, not really like super well paying, but I've been,
build the
getting
portfolio.
through, getting some stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like really happy. I'm really proud of myself for that. So anyway, that was my very long answer.
No,
I love it.
You're good.
I love it.
You're good. Not only do we have a new logo, but we also have merch. Okay. Shout out to the wonderful Dominic Glover for taking care of us, as we said before, man, and getting us situated not only with the logo, but providing an avenue for us to share merch with you guys.
We have tanks. we have t-shirts, we have hoodies, and we have premium shirts and premium hoodies. Hey, yo, look at this. I'm just saying. We are super excited for you guys to not only rock the merch, but to also share with your family, your friends, the person that's checking you out at the grocery store.
Before you finalize your purchase, make sure to throw our coupon code in the coupon code section. The code is LWAP for Life with Anime Podcast. Again, that's LWAP. Make sure you throw it in there. With that code, it is a buy one, get one free option. So to explain that fully, you buy one of our merch options, okay, and you get another option, another merch item for free. Whether that second item is another item from the Life with Anime Podcast collection or any of Dominic's anime t-shirts or hoodies or whatever on the website. So you buy one of our items, you get the second one free. If you are to buy 2 items from us, then you are also able to then get 2 items for free. So however many items that you buy of podcast merch, make sure you also get something else as well. That way you take full advantage of the coupon code that Dominic has allowed us to give to our community.
Not only can you get free merch, but we are also doing a giveaway to where you can get an Xbox Series X. In order for you to be entered, you have to buy a piece of our merch. Each piece of podcast merch gets you a spot in the raffle. So that means if you buy 3 pieces of our merch, that gives you 3 spots to be in. In order to be in the giveaway, you do have to do 2 things. 1, you got to be in the Discord. I need you to be in the Discord. But 2, you have to put your Discord handle in the order notes. 1, be in the Discord. 2, user handle in the order notes. Last thing, this ends March the 31st. You have until March the 31st to get all of the podcast merch that you want. After that, you can still get it. Don't stop after the 31st. But the drawing ends, the giveaway ends at the 31st, March the 31st.
With all that being said, the link to purchase the merch is down below in the description. Make sure you use the LWAP discount code. Make sure you are in the Discord, and make sure you throw your Discord handle down in the order notes at the bottom of the checkout, and you will be entered in for the giveaway for the Xbox Series X. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you sharing some stuff that I think you said you hadn't said it before, so that's awesome. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I've actually never said out loud that the gaming was for Ian. I think that I told people, it was I want this, but it was really for Ian. And I think Ian is proud of what I've done in the gaming space. You know, like I hosted E3, I hosted like 2 really big esports, you know, and I've hosted a bunch of little stuff. Recently did Yu-Gi-Oh! Those Konami, those people are awesome. Like I absolutely love the Konami people. So it's like I said, I just had to find my people, you know, but I think like he would be happy about that. And then I felt like I kind of like, you know, served his dream. I wanted to like accomplish his dream because he's not on this plane anymore. Maybe some people might feel like that's weird. I don't know. But I think that was kind of, I've never really articulated this out loud, but I think that was kind of it. I think that's why I did the whole gaming thing. And then for me, it was anime and acting and I still love video games, but it's like I said, like I got to get really hooked on a game. Which I do, you know, I love lots of video games, but it was like, I was like, okay, like I want to do what I want to do too. I love gaming, but I want to do what I want to do as well. And that's acting. So
awesome.
I love that. And Joe, and then I'm gonna move on. But the fact that you said that, you know, you applied at IGN and got it like that, just for me, like validates like you are here in that space for a reason. Whether like your brother had a hand in that, like I like that stuff. That's golden for me. So I appreciate yourself. That is, that's good.
That was crazy. I know. I to this day like I had a pretty rough time at IGN. I think everybody has different stories. Some people loved it there. I don't know if you guys saw recently, like they, Stella posted that she got laid off from there. And I was just like, dude, like, I don't know. It's just, for me, I didn't have a very good time over there. But I am very grateful because they set me up for the career that I have now. And they got me out to LA. So the thing is like, everything happens for a reason. And I always tell people like that, like, I think people are always like, oh, everything's so bad. Or what if this doesn't work out or whatever? And I'm like, dude, do you know how many times like my life has been completely I don't want to say the F word, but my life has been so many times, and then it always leads me on the right track, you know, like I always end up where I'm supposed to be. And like, I don't know, maybe some people think that sounds really hopeful and silly, but I don't know, I just try to be like, hey, I'm here for a reason.
That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll chime in for a little bit and then we'll move on. But like, even for me, like my first NFL team was, I was miserable, like absolutely miserable. But here we are, 7 years afterwards, and enjoying what I'm doing, loving what I'm doing. So like, that's just honestly, this is real. Like, not everything starts off the way you plan it or see how it's supposed to go, but eventually it gets to where it's supposed to be.
The path is the path.
Joe, I think the other thing is like, it's so hard when like everyone's like, but you're playing in the NFL.
Yeah,
oh, but
exactly.
You're at IGN, and you're like, but my whole being, my whole body and like subconscious is like not about this. And it's like, it's very hard to honor yourself and be true to and be like, I am not happy here, so that's, like we both have had our journey, you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know. It's just crazy when you're in that position and everyone's like, "Oh, you should be, you know, that was why weren't you happy?" Yeah, and you're like, "I don't know. It's just not serving me," And you got to be able to identify that stuff. So Oh, I love the Yu Yu Hakusho hoodie, by the way. I didn't even.
It's my number one of all time.
Oh yeah, and it's the Dragon Ball. You guys are great. I'm on today.
There you go.
Come on now, nerds.
So I know Joe introduced you and all of that good stuff, but before we get started, can you plug your socials and let people know where to find you?
At Jacki JING, not on TikTok anymore.
We'll see.
Pretty much, we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, I'm on everything. I'm on Instagram, Threads. I'm still on X. I'm not as vocal on X anymore.
Okay.
But
don't worry
a lot
about
of
it.
my
You're not alone.
the unfortunate thing is that a big part of my my stream community is on X, so they know to come onto the stream. So I was like, all right, but I don't love the atmosphere on X anymore. I'm on Blue Sky. I just got on Red Note. I was on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, all that stuff. There's too many now. It's crazy, but
there's a lot. Yeah, we haven't made that transition to Red Note quite yet, but it seems like that's where everyone's going.
I downloaded it today.
Oh, well,
I did it a couple days ago. You're not like, but honestly, all my friends started doing it, and then like one person, this one girl, she was like, I just went viral for like the third time on Red Note, and I was like, maybe I should get over there. You know what I mean? So I was like,
you gotta get there early.
Yeah, it is. It is about getting there early too. That's one of my biggest regrets is that like I during COVID was just not pushing myself on TikTok enough. But then it's like, look at how quickly things change. I have so many friends who have like hundreds of thousands, millions of followers on TikTok.
And it's about to all be gone.
It's about
unfortunately.
Okay, so let's get started. Your anime origin story. So recently you told the story about how you were living in Hong Kong at a young age. And then you end up moving to the States. I do believe it was Denver.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Perfect. And your aunt was sending you merch to you and your brother. So for all of the viewers,
dude, this is my origin story. I don't need to talk about it. Preston's narrating it.
You gotta put.
I feel like we should have done an animated version, like showing Jacki. She's in Hong Kong, and she gets the merch from her.
If I had that editing ability, I would do that.
Yeah. True. That might be out of budget, but okay. But yeah, you were narrating it great. This is all factual.
Yeah. So for the viewers that don't know, can you tell us how you actually got started into anime? Like how the anime become a thing for you?
I mean, that pretty much covered it. I remember we went to Hong Kong and I was either watching Macross or Gundam or Voltron. It was something mech. And my brother and I were both like, whoa, this is super cool. And so when we moved back to the States, my aunt would send us some stuff. And honestly, I was so young. I think like even before it was like second grade-ish or maybe even before that, she sent me like a Sailor Moon shirt and some stuff like that. And then we would just go to Chinatown in Denver and they had a bunch of anime merch, so I would get stationery and walls. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see it. That wall scroll's from when I was like a teenager.
Oh,
No,
nice.
not even a teen. I had this when I was like 10 or 11. I'm sorry, like really old wall scroll.
Oh, wow.
That's
Very old wall
crazy
scroll.
dope.
And that was, I remember being in that store and I was like, I want that, you know, and back then it was probably like $8. I don't even remember, you know, it was pretty expensive. So, you know, that was really what happened, was that I kind of got early exposure. And then I think it really hit though when Toonami came around. I think that's like for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so my brother and I would watch Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball together every day after school. It was just like a part of the repertoire of, it was our routine. It was just like, we always did that.
Yeah.
And Ian, you know, he was the one who was like, hey, you need to check out this anime called Cowboy Bebop after we watched Dragon Ball. Yeah, right. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this video. Actually, I don't think I don't think I put it on my own social media. I need to. I got to interview Shinichiro Watanabe, and I had him. First of all, he signed. I don't think you guys can see it. It's above. Yuri from Street Fighter. It's like gonna be up here. And nobody on the podcast can see it, so there's not even a reason for me to raise it up. This is Shinichiro Watanabe signed this poster of Lazarus. And you're
that's
not even able
awesome.
to see it. But it's
I remember you being, man, I can't wait for Lazarus.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
I can't wait for Lazarus.
So Shinichiro Watanabe, I told him the story that my brother had, you know, got me into Cowboy Bebop, and that it was both of our favorite anime. And he said, "Good brother." Like he said it in English to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I was like literally about to cry. And then he signed that. By the way, when we went to go do the interview, we were going to fly to New York. I was doing work for Anime News Network, and my boyfriend was like, okay, we're packing. And I had like all this Cowboy Bebop stuff. And he's like, what? We're going to New York for like 2 days. Why are you bringing this? I was like, well, I want Shinichiro Watanabe to sign this. He was like, you can pick 2 things. And I was like, I was so depressed. I was like, okay. Yeah, bad boyfriend. Yeah. But I was like, he was literally like, you can pick 2 because like this ain't gonna fit in our luggage. I was like, all right. So I picked our DVD that Ian and we first, you know, purchased Cowboy Bebop and watched it on. But it was really Sailor Moon. Well, I guess that Mech Show, and then Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, and then Cowboy Bebop. And then after Cowboy Bebop, it just exploded. It became Neon Genesis Evangelion. It became Outlaw Star. I met other friends who introduced me to Record of Lodos War, Berserk, like, oh my gosh, Ninja Scroll. It was just
there
like,
you
know,
got
really,
P. You got P, because P loves Ninja Scroll.
Yeah, like very old anime, right? And then obviously it was you know, that time where people were downloading things illegally, you know, because that was the only way to get it. And Ian introduced me to a show called Naruto, which I watched in college. Probably not through, I mean, I know not through legal means, but
you know.
And
now you do. Now you do.
Yeah, now you
learn from those.
Crunchyroll, High Dive, Netflix, Amazon Prime, I got all of them, you know. I do. It's kind of crazy.
You kind of have
Why am I
to.
paying for all this?
You have
but
to.
You do. Yeah, it kind of stinks. It's like you got to have all of them. But yeah, and then, you know, I did watch on sites for a while too, but I would literally just like go on the site and be like, well, which one looks cool? And I found Code Geass, I found Death Note, and I found Elfen Lied. Those are all kind of like older ones, you know. But yeah, Elfen Lied's great. Elfen Lied, I don't feel like people talk about enough. It's so good. It's really dark.
I still haven't seen it. It's like dark. It's
like, what are you? Oh, hold on.
Like
what's everyone's top 5 anime?
List.
We should do a top 5.
Actually, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Okay.
She's reading minds right now, P. And we'll get there. We'll get there.
Wait. Okay.
You've done a ton of cosplays, like a ton of them. You got, I think one of the most recent one you did Hela from Thor. You did Jinx from Arcane, Sister from Star Wars, Boa Hancock from One Piece. I've seen you do that, I think, a couple times. At least you have a couple of different videos with the wall.
One Piece character.
Yeah. We'll get there too, which is awesome. But you've done a ton more, right? So what is, 1, your favorite cosplay that you've done, and then 2, what is your favorite nerdy universe, right? Because you're touched down into all these different universes, right? So like, what's your favorite nerdy universe?
I hate to sound basic, but I would probably say One Piece is pretty awesome.
Let's go.
How can you not want to be a pirate? You know, like I love the movie Hook. You know, when I was a kid, and honestly, the One Piece live action, the whole time first of all, my boyfriend told me to watch it, and I was like, hell no. They destroyed Cowboy Bebop. The Cowboy Bebop live action.
I mean, they've destroyed most live action.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was so bad. And I was so upset because like I had high hopes for it and I really wanted it to be good. And it just like was so bad. And then we watched the One Piece live action. I thought the first episode was very slow, but he was like, just stick with it for a little bit longer. And I think around the second or third, I was like, I'll watch it. It's on, you know?
Yeah.
And then, man, when it hit the long arc, I actually thought they did. Oh my gosh! And Sanji and his mentor and the whole like leg part. I was like, I'm like getting. It was just really well done because you guys know in the anime they didn't do that part. It's in the manga, you know. So I was like, okay, is it going to be in the live action? You know. So I was like. I just thought it was still a very fun show, but they weren't afraid to go dark, you know. Yeah.
Which you can't do One Piece without going dark. Like, you just can't do One Piece without going dark.
Yeah, and I think that I thought the casting was really good. Like I thought,
casting was good.
Yeah, I was like, I can see all these. If Zoro was in real life, he would look like this. If Sanji, if Luffy, Nami, you know, like I know sometimes people get all up in the air about casting. I know people were like upset Sanji didn't have his eyebrow thing. I was like, you know,
I was expecting them to do that. I'm like, that's like a Hallmark thing for him. But like, I wasn't mad about that they didn't.
Yeah, so, I get it. And then I guess some people will have to see how like I know Chopper's image has been released, but I'm kind of interested to see how that actually.
I'm really curious to see how that goes.
I'm wondering how they're going to play off that. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah. So I'm like, I mean, One Piece is just. I mean, look, they're Wano arc. They're in like an ancient Japan-esque world, and then Egghead there, it's like all cyberpunk, and then there's Skypiea, and there's Alabama, you know, like it's just so the world is limitless and you're always a pirate. Like it's like that's a pretty cool world.
Yeah.
You could maybe say Naruto, but like that's also like, you know, there's some dark times in the Naruto world. I think like in One Piece, if things aren't going well, you can always get on your ship and bail out.
Right, so there's some peaceful islands. Something
really bad happens.
Yeah,
right?
there's some peaceful islands you can hide away.
Chill out.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I think I would say One Piece because I think like if I wanted adventure, I could find it. But I think if I wanted to chill, I could like kind of, you know, keep my, you know, I'm just gonna go on a little cruise.
Yeah.
You know. Just do my thing.
Enjoy the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think that'd be fun too. So I don't know. Maybe I'll think later and be like, I don't know, low-key Sailor Moon, which is just 90s Japan and just wear like stylish fashion and just be like, hi, I'm a magical girl. That would be cool. But yeah, gosh, all of them are so cool though. Now I'm looking at my Frieren PC and I'm like, Frieren would be cool if I was as powerful as Frieren. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Delicious in Dungeon was super good this year. Yeah. So there's, I don't know. You know where I wouldn't want to be?
Attack on Titan. or Evangelion.
Yeah, Evangelion. I would not want to be.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, though I do. This is probably my second favorite anime of all time. Attack on Titan's pretty bad too.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. There's quite a few bad ones. I'm like, I'm not trying to be in. So
Rob was saying that to live in the Pokemon world would be very hectic. Like a 4-foot Beedrill coming at you is.
Oh my gosh, where's my Dustin? Throw me my Garchomp. Garchomp's my favorite.
See?
Nobody
imagine Garchomp.
Now imagine Garchomp. Right now, imagine him charging at you for real.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's 7'5" in real life. So he's taller than my boyfriend. My boyfriend's 7 foot. So I'm like, I can't even imagine.
He's a giant.
What I love about Garchomp is he's really scary. He's scary, right? Like, look at these wings, and then he's kind of like a dinosaur, and he's got like his hammerhead. But then there's something about him that is just cute. But then it's like when you look at him in the game, he's really scary. But for some reason,
and in real life.
You know what? He was my main. He was my ride or die. I don't know. He got me out of so many bad situations, and it's so funny in Pokemon. That's like you get attached to your ace, right? And everything.
You find that one, and it's like
different. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the elemental matchup is correct or not. Like, no, I'm just.
It don't matter.
Yeah, I know. I just like leveled up my Garchomp so much.
Right. Like, everybody's at level 30 something while Garchomp is at
it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This isn't very effective, and it's a one shot.
I feel like, but I guess you're right. That would be kind of scary. Like you'd just be like walking
Like,
around.
imagine how many times Ash got electrocuted by Pikachu.
Game
But he wouldn't make
over.
it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's game over.
Pokemon might not be the worst, but it's I could see
Yeah.
problems.
It's
with
not
it.
the
I could see
worst.
problems.
Yeah,
But
definitely the worst.
something
All
to
right,
think
what's the first part the question? I know it got overran by the favorite universe, but what's your favorite cosplay that you've done so far?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. No. Don't
Gosh.
Jacki, don't apologize ever again for the rest of the podcast.
Okay, I apologize a lot too. That's something I'm trying to work on too. Gosh, I hate to sound basic, but I love Boa.
Yeah.
I love Boa Hancock. I was on the Toei's One Piece panel at New York Comic Con, and I literally, was talking about how Boa Hancock is, I'm very tall. I'm 6'2". I got like bullied pretty badly when I was younger, and was mainly because I liked anime, and then also just being like super tall and awkward. And then I went to a convention, and someone was like, "Oh, you look a lot like Boa," and I was like, okay, who's this Boa? And that was actually what got me into One Piece, was that people were like, you remind me of Boa, because Boa is a 6'3",
she's
pirate
tall.
empress with long black hair.
Amazonian
right?
goddess.
Love her, yes. And then I just started reading her story. I think I first went and watched on Netflix her arc, and then that just got me all into the One Piece world. But she's so confident, and she's so strong, and she's been through so much. And I know that people kind of she has her iconic line where she's like, "I'll kick kittens and nobody will be upset with anything I do," or whatever. But it's kind of I love that confidence, because it was something that I never had, So I literally think to myself in precarious situations, well, what would Boa do? And it's she would be a confident, badass bitch, you know what I mean? And she's the boss. And there was actually in the Egghead arc, I think Blackbeard's got her by the neck, and she's and literally she's he's got his hand around her neck, and she's like, "I will take no man's orders," like that. It just gives me chills saying that out loud to y'all, because it's she's such a badass bitch. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut so much, but it's she's just I will take no. She's literally being strangled, and that's what her words are, And I'm just I want to be like that. And as someone who's been a people pleaser and always trying to cater to everybody else, is everybody else happy? Is everybody else happy? Yeah. And so honestly, whenever I have someone giving me shit, I just think to myself, I take no man's orders, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
But I might not do what you say. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think that's Boa just really, and I think that's really the beauty of One Piece, is you find the character that you vibe with. People will be like, "Oh, Usopp's my favorite," and I'm like, "Dude, Usopp's probably my last pick," But
let's go, Jacki.
People, no, but I get it, because the iconic battle between Usopp and Luffy, and
that's one of the reasons I can't stand him.
Really?
Yes.
But I think that the thing with Usopp is he is that friend who kind of cleans up for everybody and is kind of not thanked for it, and that takes a really strong person. And so I think that's I learned
talk
to
your shit,
appreciate. Jacki. I learned to appreciate. No, I learned to appreciate Usopp, because that's a difficult role to have. You know what I mean? He's literally trying to keep the crew together at all costs, and and it's a lot of big personalities. And I think there's always someone kind of like that in the friend group. And so I think that's why. I don't know. I think you find the character that you vibe with. So when people are like, "Oh, I'm an Usopp person," I'm like, for me, no, but I understand. You know what I mean? And that's another reason why I do really like One Piece, is you find your person, right? So
absolutely. I see. For me, so Usopp is one of my favorites.
Is he your favorite? But
was my favorite. So Brook is my favorite.
People like him. Wait, who?
Brook is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Musician guy.
Yeah.
Brook is my favorite. And
Sanji
he's just
is
probably
hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Yeah,
and also, I can't wait, because I know he's gonna have a great moment, and I can't wait for that moment. For me, and me and Joe talk about this a lot, I love and enjoy humanistic characters. And with Usopp, he is in a group that honestly, he is not on par with too many of these people that he is in the group with. But somehow he has to kind of level up to be there. And I think for me, that is me. Sometimes I find myself to where I do not belong here. what the Hello Kitty am I doing in certain situations?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I feel like, hey, yo, you got to man up, you got to level up, you got to make this happen. And so I feel like that's what Usopp does a lot of the times, even
Oh my
though
God,
he doesn't belong.
that makes me love Usopp because it's like, this is the thing. Usopp would never say that out loud. Maybe he thinks it internally,
Yes.
you know, but he's cocky. Like, he's like, I should be the captain. You know what I mean? And so the thing is like,
No, good and well, he can't.
Yeah. Yes. But and that's the thing that's admirable is that he steps up to the occasion. You know, I do think that's actually a really, really, and the thing is that they're all great. They're all amazing. Like, you could talk about each, like, I genuinely can tell you there's not like anyone in the Straw Hats, the main core that I dislike. Like, they're all like, I'm like, they're all great, you know?
Oh, Joe
said, there's some I don't.
Joe hates Sanji.
I'm not a Sanji fan.
Oh, I like Sanji. Sanji's a little annoying, but he's funny.
I mean, you know.
Why? Is it because the ladies? He's always hitting on the ladies?
That's part of it. And
Whole Cake Island.
No, Mermaid.
Oh, Mermaid.
Yeah, with the mermaids. Like, that was, and that's not the main reason. My biggest issue with Sanji, and then we'll move on. My biggest issue with Sanji was his whole thing at Whole Cake was my biggest issue. Right, my bad, P. Yeah. You were right. Him versus Luffy. Like, I get what he was trying to do. I think he went about it in the completely wrong way. And I think him fighting Luffy the way that he fought Luffy and in front of Nami was just like not the way to go. So him getting his heart broken by Pudding is like one of my favorite moments. So like the cigarette not lighting moment.
That was ridiculous.
I love that Joe's cheering for Sanji to be humiliated.
The tear that dropped down on the lighter and wouldn't let it go was my favorite moment of Whole Cake Island.
Oh my God.
That is ridiculous.
This is the thing though. I have friends who love Sanji, you know, so it's like you find your straw hat, you know, because like I said, like
Zoro's
I think
my guy.
Zoro.
I mean,
Zoro's like top 3 for sure for me too. Who's not? Zoro has to be in like so many people's top 3. It's just like, how can you not? He's like fighting as hard as he can. He's hilarious because he's navigationally challenged. Like, it's just like he's just like and his whole attitude is just so incredible. Like, I wish I could be that hard. I'm not, you know, but it's awesome. You know?
Many of us aspire to be. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna move a question up, P, here real quick since she brought it up. And we're talking about Boa and how the reasons you love Boa so much. So outside of One Piece, what anime do you feel has the best written female characters? Outside of One Piece, obviously you've talked a lot about. I even think you did a video on stream once talking about Boa and Nami and Robin, as well. But outside of One Piece, what anime do you feel has some of the best written female characters? Not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I hate to be cliche, but like, I really like Sailor Moon. I think that like all the women were smart and capable, and in the end, you know, there was a little bit of a rivalry between Sailor Moon and Sailor Mars, but in the end, they uplift each other. It's women supporting women, you know? And I think that like in a lot of anime, you don't see that, or the women are like pretty helpless. And so it was really nice growing up, like to see these women saving the world and the universe, you know what I mean? And also doing it like in style and being funny about it too, you know what I mean? So like I think Sailor Moon was super empowering to me, to be honest. Awesome. It's interesting though, because it's like it's such a I think like I think of some of like the characters I really, really like female characters. I watched Berserk recently, and Casca's like a great character.
Talk about it.
Yeah. She's smart, she's capable, you know, and she's you know, also nurturing and kind. Like, you know, when Griffith was totally like, they rescued him from being tortured, like she's the one taking care of him, you know, and I was just like, this is a wonderful human being who is like also extremely athletic, and can run with the boys. You know what I mean? Capable. Like she's an incredibly well written character. The only thing that I like, you know, always hurt me was that I've never finished the manga. I've only watched the 90s anime, and then I watched the terrible one that came out
CGI,
like
the 2013 one.
Yeah. And so I never really got to see what happened past that, but it was like I always wanted to see like Casca regain like her mental capacity again. Like it just like always, you know, really crushed me that like, but then also what she goes through is so up. Like I actually
Ooh.
rewatched it, and my boyfriend was like, "What the?"
Yeah.
To be honest, the 90s anime is better than the remake that they did on Crunchyroll. You know
Oh,
how they
100%.
yeah. Also, the remake on
starting to watch
Crunchyroll,
it.
I think yeah, it's not. I don't even know if it's worth watching. I think the 90s one is
No, I'm
better.
saying I still need
100%.
to watch the 90s. I
Oh
haven't
my
watched Berserk at
god,
all. Yeah, I mean,
It's on
yeah.
YouTube. Oh, I think 24, 25 episodes on YouTube.
dude, the whole that's probably my top 5 for sure.
Oh, good
okay.
stuff.
Oh my god, Berserk is definitely my top 5. Dude, the foil between Griffith and Guts, and we were talking
Can't
about
stand it.
boundaries. Like Guts literally unalives a child for Griffith
For
because he
Griffith?
cannot say no to Griffith. And then when he wants to claim his own autonomy and he's like, "Listen, I'm leaving." That is like Griffith. It leads to Griffith's downfall. It's like him. It's a really dumb story. It's really fun. I'm telling you right now. I kind of spoiled it for you. I didn't realize you.
No, it's been out since the 90s,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen it. Like, it is what it is at this point. We've had plenty of conversations about Berserk on here, so.
Okay, I love a bromance. That's probably one of the best bromances of all time. And betrayals. It's
I was about to say, would you still call it a bromance?
Oh, it's a bro. It is more than a bromance.
I mean, I'm just talking about after
literally was
what he did. Like, can you call that a bromance after that?
I said bromance and betrayal.
You did say you did.
Yeah, but it was definitely, I think, a bromance in the beginning. I think
100%.
I think that Guts was completely enamored with Griffith, and that I love Griffith. I mean, he's a terribly evil character, but he is like gold. I was telling Dustin, if they made a live action, they would have needed to cast Leonardo DiCaprio back when he was like no offense, you know, he's like kind of like older
he's
now,
old.
right? So,
he's old.
Yeah, if they had a young Leonardo DiCaprio, would have been the perfect Griffith. You could do like Timothy Chalamet now, maybe, but he'd have to get like white hair and like white. But you need like, it's one of those people who's just like so androgynously beautiful. It's like scary, right? But androgynously beautiful and super charismatic. Like, it's just like he's the most lethal person in the world because he's got like these incredible looks and he's super intelligent and he is good with people and he knows how to manipulate people.
Got to where we got.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like he is a crazy, he just like the analysis of him as a character. And then I don't want to, do you know what happens, Joe?
I think so. For the most part, yeah, I know what's happening. Yeah, so don't worry about me.
Okay, this man is at the top, right? And he is like literally about to become king. He had like the princess is into him, like he's gonna be king. Everything is working out great, right? And then Guts overhears a conversation with Griffith, I think with the princess, right? And he's like, I don't like, all these people in my life are not equal to me and I don't care about them. Like, I care about my goals. And Guts, who is his best friend, who literally unalived a child, goes into battle for him and unalives all these people, like comes back and provides Griffith with victory after victory to get Griffith where he is. He hears that and then he's like, why am I
doing what I'm doing
this? Yeah. And so he leaves and Griffith is like, you cannot leave. You're mine. Like, pretty much. Like, he's like, I don't think he says it like that, but he's like, you can't leave, you're mine.
Yeah.
You know, in true narcissistic form, right? And Guts and him and he Griffith got on Guts on his team years before by being like, if I beat you, you're on my team and you're mine. And so he beat Guts and got him on the team. So then now Griffith is like, I'm going to beat you. And then like, you cannot leave. And then Guts beats him. And it just like is so crippling to Griffith that he goes and makes these toxic situations and like everything just implodes. And like, and I'm telling you, not just implodes.
I just need to watch this show.
Yeah,
I just need to watch it.
I mean, not just implodes. Like,
no,
it goes
to hell.
You have no idea how dark and it gets. Like, you're watching and you're like, how could this even happen to a human being? Like, going from like this close to your dream. And then so when you see how low he gets, and then you see the decisions he makes when he reaches that low point, you're just gonna be like, you'll never. I will say this right here, right now. There is nothing in cinema, there is nothing in anime that compares to that moment.
Whew.
It is the best.
No,
It is
the
literally
Band of
some
Hawks,
of
like
the
when I
best
tell you
writing I've ever
where
seen.
he got to at the end, and then what he did in front of whatchamacallit, like you think it gets darker and it gets darker. And you was like, it can't get worse. And it gets worse.
It gets worse.
Times 10.
Yeah. And you literally, and the saddest part is that the creator, the mangaka, he passed away. So like, we'll never know what the true ending is, you know. But this manga was Games of Throning before Games of Throning was a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, think about how all the political intrigue and the fucked
man.
up things people were doing to each other. That Berserk was doing that way before.
Wow.
And
all right.
I mean, like, really dark.
I've heard it, but I'm like, I have to sit down and watch it. I just have to bring myself to sit down and watch. I just haven't.
Oh, Joe, we're doing a watch party.
It's like 25 episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna do a watch party.
I mean, it's definitely something I want to watch. I just haven't done it yet because my watch list continues to grow with every new season of anime and 50 new anime drop every season.
That to the top. You gotta move that to the top of your playlist.
All right.
I'm serious
All
because
right,
it's like that anime will change your life.
Jackie, in a month from now, I'll hit you up about how I've watched it. I've caught up.
That'll be a great episode for you guys.
That would be for me to finally be caught up on it.
25 episodes, yeah.
For me to be caught up on it and talk about it.
You will see why Griffith is in everybody's number one villain list of all time.
Yeah.
I think that I used to go in the blackswordsman.com and I would get in arguments with people. And I think that in the end, Guts forgives Griffith. That's what I think that the mangaka, and everybody hates that. Everybody hates that. I do. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's what's going to happen. Because I think Guts becomes a bigger, better person through the whole journey. And he realizes
because what I would say from the manga that I've read, like Griffith, like also kind of becomes like a better person as well. He's still a very effed up individual.
Dude, what he did, I don't know, Joe, if you know what happens, but
like the betrayal he did, like that
the heinous act and
yeah.
I mean, it's literally the stuff of nightmares, what happened to their friends and stuff like that. So it's like, it's pretty unforgivable. But for some reason, I feel like that the whole moral of the story is that like you can forgive, but you can't forget, right?
No, for sure, absolutely.
And so I think that like I wish that we'll someday know, because it's just like I kind of want him to know. We'll have to talk about Gungrave sometime, because Gungrave's my probably honestly really? Gungrave's probably my favorite anime, but I never say it because nobody knows it.
Oh wow,
that's another one that's a bromance. And it's about two young men's descent into evil and how it completely, it's like, it's great. It's great. I'm sorry. I know you guys have more questions, so I won't go into Grave.
You're good.
Okay.
This is, we've built this for us to get to know you, for everyone to get to know you and hear you speak. So that's what this is about. So again, I know you apologize, but don't apologize.
Okay.
We just talked about 15 minutes worth
of Gungrave. Don't say that. No, I'm kidding.
We just talked about 15 minutes worth of Berserk. This is wonderful. So let's talk about how you got to where you are now. So we know that you've hosted for major companies such as IGN, Amazon, Crunchyroll, E3, Riot's Games, Ubisoft. Is there any particular company that's a dream of yours for you to host?
You know, no one has ever asked me that question.
Let's go.
Honestly, when it comes to gaming, when I hosted E3, I was like, I can be done after this. I really did. I was like, I hosted E3. I don't care. You know, I think that like it's a really competitive industry, and I think people were always kind of like looking down on me. And like I'm really proud of what I did on E3. I studied my ass off, and I thought I did a good job, you know, and I know that E3 is no longer, but like I remember like I was like, if my gaming career ends, I can always be like, I hosted E3, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm happy with that, you know? And like, I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but it's like
you gotta have some pride in what you did.
Yeah, what's meant for me is meant for me, you know what I mean? Like there's no company that I'm like, I really hope they pick me. Like I'm so over those days. There was a time where I was like, I really wanted to be a part of this esport or that esport, and it's like I'm over that. Like it's just like I'm over it. Like it's like, what if people are going to be kind to me and it's a good work environment and I had a good time, then that is cool. You know what I mean? Then I will absolutely, work for them and provide them with the best work. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I think gaming is in such a weird place right now, like there's all these layoffs happening and I don't know. I think esports are kind of going through a weird transition. There was a time where there were like these people who I thought were untouchable and would never be, removed as hosts or talent. And then they're gone,
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know, like, and then there's some people who thrive and take off and do really well in those esports areas. But like, I candidly, I want to be an actor. You know what I mean? Like my goal is like, I want to act, I want to be in a big major film someday, like I guess that's it. Like, I don't like working for someone. Like, I hope I'm like in a big movie,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For gaming, I don't know. Like it's like you can always improve and get better. Right. But it's like, I don't want to say I feel like that ship has sailed, but it's kind of like, I don't feel like I need to prove to anyone anything in gaming anymore. Like, and if they feel that way, then I don't really know what to say,
Yeah.
like, it's like, I worked at IGN, I worked at Nerdist, I worked at E3, I worked E3. I've worked with all of these big companies hosting different gaming events. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I just don't like gaming has been good to me. And like, I'm really happy for that, but there's nobody who I'm like, oh, please pick me. I want to be in your team. Like, I'm like, if you want me, great. Like, I will turn up for you. You know what I mean? But it's like, there's nobody who I'm like, oh, I really want you to put me on your team. Cause the thing is, like, every time I've had those thoughts, I haven't gotten the job, like Nerdist. I really wanted the Nerdist job. And then they had Maud and two other girls, and we were all competing. And then they just gave it to Dan. They were like, we're giving it to Dan. And we were like, what?
Wait, what?
Which Dan is lovely. Dan Casey's great,
Yeah.
but it was like, Jessica left and we were all like, okay, like someone's going to like step in and replace Jessica. And so we were all like, I mean, like those are some of the best talent hosting wise, I think, in the to go up against Maud. Maud's one of my friends, but like she, I was like, whew. And then there was another girl, I can't remember her name, and then two other girls, God, I can't remember their names, but like, they were all really good hosts, and so like, and then I think about some other esports where I was like, please pick me. And then they just like, they don't, and I'm like, I just can't, I'm too old to feel like that anymore. I want to, enjoy the work that I'm doing. And when it stops being fun, I'll find something else. Is that weird?
So no,
not at all.
So,
Like,
so
you
real
want
quick-
to go where you want it.
Real quick, Joe, let's switch
Right.
this up then. So, being that you are getting into acting, you love acting. If you had the chance to act with any actor or actress, who would it be?
Michelle Yeoh.
I was like, I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be the
She is
answer.
like, she is the queen. She is everything. She's my role
I
model.
was gonna say it's a full circle moment for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I met Michelle Yeoh. I was fortunate enough. My friend invited me to the Critics' Choice Awards. And she was behind me on the escalator.
Wow.
And I was like, I just turned around and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you had a profound impact on me as a child, like watching someone like you, I think it was something like that. Right. And then she just like grabbed both my hands and she's like, you're so beautiful. And she was like, thank you so much. And I like literally like,
I would have
froze,
melted like butter.
Yeah. And then she just walked by me and I was like, it's cool. Just touched my hand,
Both hands.
This is right after I was between Jennifer Coolidge and Michelle Yeoh. It was like the most surreal moment.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I was like, okay, that's cool. And so, yeah, like, I think I would love to work with Michelle. I think she's one of those people like Boa Hancock for me, where I'm like, what would Michelle do?
Yeah.
And I don't think Michelle is like chasing anything. I think Michelle is like, hey, if you want me to be a part of your project, I'm going to turn the up, and I feel like she was literally so patient. Like, she came up as a woman in the 90s, and she was in these martial arts movies that were dubbed, and some people just thought were like funny and silly, you know.
Yeah.
And she was like this hardworking, extremely beautiful, and extremely intelligent woman who wanted to be respected, you know. And there have been reports out that like Jackie Chan is super misogynistic and talked down to her all the time, you know, like. And I know that, like, you know, I grew up watching Jackie Chan. My
like,
roots
whole
are from Hong Kong,
is like,
yeah. And he would tell Michelle, and it was probably in a teasing way, you know what I mean? But he would tell Michelle, like, oh, women belong in the kitchen and stuff. Like, I've seen like interviews like that said that. So it's like she had to put up with, you know, Jackie and again, it could have been just playful, but like I think we all know too, like some of that playful stuff will still hit you. You know what I mean?
Truth
and
in
especially
every
when it's someone like Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Like,
And so she overcame a lot, you know? And I think also, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Everything Everywhere All at Once, they originally offered it to Jackie Chan and he didn't do it. And so she was cast in the lead role and Kei Kwan was not going to be in it. And they gave him the role of the husband. And so Michelle Yeoh was going to be in that role and Jackie Chan was going to be the guy, like the main character. And it's just like, everything happens for a reason. Like, has Jackie Chan won an Academy Award? I don't know. Maybe I should Google it. But it's sure.
Like, yeah, so that's you would know that better than us.
And she won Best Actress.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. I'm so happy for her for that. That's pretty awesome.
I'm happy for like all women of color to see that. You know, it's like it's so I literally was doing my podcast before with 2 women of color who were hosts, and it's just like, you know, it's a male dominated industry, you know, and there's not many people who look like us. And it's like, I'm sure Michelle knows now, but literally like seeing her on camera and her saying that to the crowd, like I'm sure she inspired millions of people.
I'm
you
sure.
know?
Absolutely.
And it's so important for all of us to plant seeds. Like we think like, I think life is so fragile and weird. Like there's so many moments that to us are inconsequential, but we say or do something and we completely like alter someone's life, you know? And it's just like crazy, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. Does that make sense? I just
no,
like,
it does.
Good examples, but
especially like people like you Jacki, again, I've watched you for a long time, and then again, for me, this is pretty dope, awesome moment. Just the even fact that we connected, and now I got you on the podcast, which is great, right?
He'll have my number. He'll text me.
So like having, So getting to that point, like seeing, like there are people in my life, I'm like I've seen do things, and for them, like you're at a point like that's not that big of a deal. Like you being that person, you being that role model, sometimes like it's like whatever it was that you did that was like for a lot of people was really really great. For you it may not be that big of a deal, but again, for a lot of people it is a big deal. I mean, the same way you shared your moment, like you did a lot for me as a child, like for that. Like that's a full, and again, for you to meet her on the escalator is awesome. So like that's awesome.
A full circle moment.
Super dope full circle moment. Like I'll use an example for myself. Like I've had kids. I had this one kid. I don't know his name. I know him by his handle, but I won't do that. Who reached out to me once. It was like, "Yo, I'm a super big fan." I'm like, "You're a fan of me for what?" Like and like yes, I play in the NFL, but I'm like low man on the totem pole in the NFL, basically. Like no one really knows my name. Jersey sales aren't up for Joe Jones. Like they're just not. But to have a kid, like he messaged me like a week or two ago, and it was like 5-year anniversary of like when we met up for the first time, and I got to sign his jersey in person before a game. It's like stuff like that for me is like, you may not feel it's a big deal. You may not feel what you do is a big deal, but for a lot of people out there, it's life changing.
Yeah, and it's like it's crazy because it's even like interacting with someone at the grocery store, right? Like they can be rude to you and it can just like totally mess your day up. And you don't want to give people that much control over you, but it's just like funny little interactions like that. Yeah. I was trying to think of like, for example, my 2nd grade teacher. I'm neurodivergent. I'm really ADHD, and I couldn't understand the time, like I couldn't read time on the face of like a normal clock. Okay. And I was like, I told her, I'm like, I don't understand, and I just kept on saying like, I don't understand, and she was like, I give up, and left. Right. My 2nd grade teacher did this to me, and I didn't know how to read a face clock until I was like in the middle of high school. Like I literally did not know how to read a face clock, and I was like, and I look back now and I'm like, that was so, I told my whole life, because I was neurodivergent, I was like, I'm stupid. I'm not smart. I'm, my brain is fucked up. Excuse me. Sorry.
You're fine.
I've definitely hit, like, I was like, don't say the F word too much. I said it like 5 or 6 times. And it's like, and that second grade teacher like really messed me up, and then I literally did not think I was a smart person. And I still like come to terms. I'm like, am I smart or no? Well, I'm pretty narrow, spicy for sure. But like there was, my friend, I was 28 or 29. I was co-anchoring in at the ABC at WGNO, and her name's Ann Cutler. She's retired now. I think she's working in like PR. We're still friends on social media. But I was like, not very smart. I'm a hard worker. I told her that, and she's like, you're really smart. She's like, I don't know what are you talking about? Like, you're really smart. And I was like, quiet, and like I just had to process that. I was like 28 years old, and I was like, I never thought I would never describe myself as smart, and now I'm like, dude, like I'm super smart, like I'm definitely like at the beginning of this podcast I like had to ask you what the question was like twice. My brain is definitely very different than other people, but I think it's just like crazy that like people, you also like, I remember one time I met this guy who bullied me in elementary school, and I was like, you bullied me like so badly in elementary school, and he's like, honey, I'm gay and I was getting bullied by everybody else and I didn't even know I was doing that to you. Wow. And that really made me understand, like, I thought he was bullying me, and it was like really like he was going through hell, and it's like, just, you have to be, and listen, everyone's human, and he was a child, like nobody go and try to figure that out, forgive him, we're good.
Elementary school,
it's like, people get triggered and say and do bad things, and it's like, we just have to have compassion and really understand that like so much can change just with like one action. Like an action is so powerful, and words are so powerful too. Sorry, you guys, I talk too much. I just
You're good. Jacki.
Oh, Jacki.
No more apologizing. I'm bad at that.
Oh, Lord.
I know, sorry. Wait, damn it.
I'm gonna start bleeping all the sorries just as much as I bleep all the F-bombs.
So talking about anime and how it impacts our lives is something that we prioritize on this podcast. So we would love for you to tell us about a time to where anime impacted your life. It could be an anime moment, something that you identified with, maybe an anime that got you through a hard time, or something that really touched your life.
Wow. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about Gungrave for a while. So just brace yourselves. I'm going to apologize in advance. I know I'm not supposed to, but okay. So basically Gungrave is about these 2 young men, and they live in this like really poor city, and they're just like street rats, and they're like barely making it by, and they have like a little like quote unquote like gang, right? They're not, they think they're hard, but they're not, right? Yeah. They're just like stealing stuff, and they think they're really cool. They're womanizing, they think they're cool, right? And then they have a rival gang, right? And they get into fights with them. And then the rival gang, the leader has an older brother who's in the mafia. And so basically their gang is beating up on the rival gang like a little too much, and then he complains to his older brother, and the older brother is in the mafia, and like when things are not good, like they handle it in one way, and that's not fun and goofy games, right? So basically things take like a really dark turn, and I don't want to tell you what happens because I really think you should watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. I think P's watched it, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, you see these 2 young men just descend into evil, and they're both like, one's a little cocky and charismatic. He's definitely the Griffith, right? And then Brandon is definitely the guts, like strong and capable, and like can help out everybody, right? And you just watch both of them destroy their lives, and it's like it's absolutely, it's tragic. Like it's so tragic. And basically decades go by, and they're both old men, and they finally get to be face to face, right? And I'm spoiling this now, so if you don't want to hear it, just turn off the podcast for like a minute. Spoiler alert. Okay, you're gone. And they're literally like have guns up to each other, and they just start laughing, You know what I mean? And then they're just like, how did this even happen? You know, and they're able to like forgive each other in these final moments, you know, and like, it's like literally just making me feel so sad right now to think about. And it's like, we get so caught up with our own ego, and we get so caught up with like everything that happens on this earth. Like they both got caught up in like materialism and you know, having status in the mafia and all this stuff, you know, and they lost who they were, which was like these young boys who just like wanted adventure and freedom. Like they literally just wanted to be free. They just didn't want to be like on the streets, like scrounging for money. And then you just see like how much, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Like they got so lost in the materialism of this world and like the terrible structures in this world. And then like literally their dying moments are just like forgiving each other and dying next to each other, you know? And you're just like, that anime me up. Like it me up so bad, you know? And to this day, I have the wall scroll right there. It's my number one, to be honest, but nobody knows it, so I never talk about it. I always say Cowboy Bebop and Neon Genesis Evangelion. But it's like, it's such a terribly sad story. And like, what happens is, I don't want to like spoil too much, but like Harry just completely loses himself in this system and becomes like so evil by like stepping on people and just, you know, literally bodies, like just stepping on people to get to the top. And Brandon loses himself because like he wants his loved ones to be happy and succeed, and he's literally stepping on people to do that, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you just see how you just get lost, you know, you get caught up, you know, your ego, like for Harry, his ego was so big, he forgot himself and he forgot about everyone around him. And then for Brandon, he had no ego, he had no boundaries, he let everyone use him as a weapon. And he, you know, you watched it, right, Preston? So like he was in love with this girl and the girl loved him. And he was like, I want you to be with this guy because he can provide a better life for you. And she's like, I love you, dude. Like, I know, I'm like, my heart's breaking. And he's like, you will have a better life with this guy. So like, go and be with him. And literally, like, he has no sense of, I'm like getting emotional about it. He's like, no self-worth. You know, he just like doesn't see himself valuable for anything. You know, it's like, I'm like getting emotional. I'm like, I'm a very like sensitive person. So
hey,
like,
listen, maybe you and P need to have a podcast together because P will cry on command. Yes,
oh my
P's
God,
a crier.
that's so funny. Yeah, so it was like, it's just like for me, Gungrave like changed my life because it was like, life is all this balance of ego and, you know, having boundaries, you know what I mean? Like you can't let your ego get out of control, and you got to learn to say no to people, you know? And and the biggest thing is like having respect for yourself and valuing yourself. And that's why it's like so sad at the end, because like you literally, so they're like two little orphan boys, right? And it ends with like the two little orphan boys like running off on the beach, because it's like in the end, like they're just like laughing and they're like little boys again after this like terrible, awful, mafia ridden like decades of life, you know? And it's just, it's super sad. The thing that sucks about like Gungrave that pushes people away is it's got zombies in it, because it's based off of a PS2 game. And so it like, people are like, oh, this is stupid, it's zombies, but it's like, it's the zombies are such a small layer of it. The story is great. Also, if you guys like Trigun, it's the same animator. It's I think it's Naitao Yatsuhiro. I might be saying that wrong, but it's that Trigun animation. So they got like really broad shoulders, their heads are really tiny, you know. And so I don't know, I love it. Like I think that was that anime changed my life, because for me it became like, it's tough, you know, you live in LA and everybody's like, hey, like you need to be the next Michelle Yeoh, you need to be a star, right? And then you're like constantly taking gigs and whatever, you know, and it's like life is all about a balance. And like Gungrave was a story about that, you know, like Berserk has the whole bromance and it fall apart and stuff like that due to ego and laying down boundaries. So I always think that like Gungrave might have pulled from Berserk. I really genuinely do think that, you know, because it's there's very like similar bromance and stuff like that. But like for me, Gungrave was a complete story. It's only 25 episodes, and it was just like it got that part across that like in the end, like, what's the point of like Brandon unaliving Harry? Like, if he goes into the afterworld, you know, whatever comes after this, unaliving Harry, does that make him feel good?
Yeah.
Like, does it? Like, it's like Harry does so much bad stuff to Brandon, but it's like, I think Brandon in that moment is like, I'm just happy to be with my friends and like to see you and be close to you again, you know? Like, and it's like all that bad shit happened, but like, remember the good, you know? And so it's like the fact that he has like the emotional capacity to just like smile and laugh with his friend when literally like holding a gun to his head and being able to like get revenge for, because the whole story is a revenge story. It's about Brandon coming back from the dead to get Harry, you know, like, and it's like and that's why I think it's one of the most beautiful stories, because it's like, what is revenge gonna get for anybody? What is like
it doesn't solve anything.
Think about the things in your life right now. Like, think about the things you don't forgive people for, you know, like, it's like, who cares, you know? Like, I have people, I'm also, because Ian passed away, I think it's like, I just understand the brevity of life, and so like, I just don't like to have shit with people. Like, I'm like, vibes are good, maybe we don't get along, but like, I wish you nothing but the best, because like, I don't want any hatred or heaviness on my heart, you know? Like, I just can't deal with that. And that's why it's like, for Brandon to like have this whole journey for revenge, he's unaliving all of their like past mafia buddies, like, you know, it's a great story, because he's like, it's like a video game, right? He's like playing all the different bosses to get to Harry, right? And they're all super cool. Like, there's one guy who's like really like, he's big, he turns to a blimp. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of ADHD, and I forgot what I was talking about.
You're good. No, you did a good job answering. You answered the question, so don't worry.
Yeah, and I talked for like 20 minutes. It's okay.
You're good.
No, that was good. That was good.
You got P was over to wipe your tears away, so you got
because she said something. And I know, like, we gotta go, and so I'm gonna leave.
No, you guys take your time.
P, go into it. Go ahead.
Okay,
P.
so I'll go ahead. So I watched The Circle. This is when COVID was happening, and when you came on the screen, I was like, "Oh snap! Stop lying!" I think it was episode like right before you got eliminated.
Episode 11, I think.
Episode 11 was episode 11. Yeah. You talked about your brother and what would you do with the money, and you teared up, and which ultimately made me tear up because I have a brother who also still struggles.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
With,
you could, I was gonna say, go ahead.
I don't know if I want to say it, but struggles with heroin. That was like his drug of choice, and even last year to the point where he overdosed, and we thought we were going to lose him. Like, he was like literally arm's length, and like, I am trying to wake this dude up because he came in the house fine, and I'm trying to wake him up, and he's not waking up, and so my mom is in the back room. And we are like, what the heck is going home?
Don't be afraid to ask me anything. I love talking about Ian.
I guess I just want you to speak from the heart to like encourage people, because there are some people that may be going through the same thing, maybe not have lost a brother, but have been on the verge of multiple times, like almost losing your brother. Which in that case, that was me. I have lost my brother on almost maybe 3 or 4 different occasions. So maybe speak to some people who maybe are going through the same thing, and give them some words of encouragement of just how to maneuver through.
Yeah, gosh. First, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know about you, but I had no idea that. I'm so sorry. It's like no one understands unless you have a family member in your life who is struggling with heroin, because it is like, it's a monster. It literally, they're not the same person. Like, you're like, this is a monster, but like, you have the face of my brother, you know? And it's crazy, because then once they get out of it, then they're like back to being your brother, and you're just like, oh my God, like, you're still there, you know? It's really hard. And I think my biggest regret is like, when Ian was going through all that, it was a much different time. Like, basically, like, back then, people were like, if you were a drug addict, you were irreprehensible degenerate, you know? And so our family felt like so much shame about it. We were like, don't tell anybody. Like, we don't want anybody to know Ian's struggling with heroin. And I think he felt so much shame because we were ashamed of him, you know? and I wasn't, you know, but like I knew that like my family and he had done so many things that were just like, you're just like, oh my gosh, like who is this person, you know? And the thing is, like, you just can't forget that they're a human and they're still in there, you know, and that they don't want to be doing it. Like they don't want to. Like I know Ian didn't want to be. He was fighting so hard at the end of his life. It's like really, it's so painful because like he was like, I don't want to be doing this anymore, you know? But it's just like this terrible demon that just like keeps on finding you as soon as you like feel like you're getting enough distance from it. So like the one thing I wish with Ian was that like I think that we would be frustrated with him, you know, we'd be like, why are you doing this still? And like why, like, you know, come on, like think of the family or think, you know, think stuff like that. And that's because there was no training for that stuff, right? Like nobody was like, hey, this is how your family has to deal with this, you know? And so I just wish, because after he passed away, I connected with all of these programs like ADAP and all the and what do you call it, the health department of LA County has like a pretty good program as well. But I was like, nobody was telling us like what to do, you know? So we were just like, how did this happen? What do you do? Right. So like what I would say if you have someone like this in your life is like, you can't like criticize them and get mad at them. You just have to be like, hey, like I love you and I'm always here for you, you know? And it's like, if you relapse, it's okay. Like we're going to try again, you know? Like, and you're going to get through this, and just be always that person who is like positive and they feel like they can go to you. I know that Ian and I were really close because he was like a year younger than me, and we lived together, like we were roommates in our 20s like a couple times, and then I had to move to Ohio because I got a on camera job, and honestly, like whenever we were apart, like I could just tell like things were really hard because I felt like he didn't have anyone to talk to, and we would talk on the phone, but it was just a lot different, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, and I just, you know, if I knew what I knew now, I'd just be like, they need someone to talk to, and they don't want to feel shame, and they don't want to be yelled at, and they don't want to be screamed at, you know. And I think that that's the problem, is that like with so many addicts, like they're just all they're getting met with is like shame and anger all the time. And so you just have to be like that nice positive space for them. And like I think the other thing too is I'm such a go-getter. So I was like, Ian, we got to get you in this program, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, you know? And the thing is, like, you have to let them move at their own pace. Like that caused arguments with Ian and I like regret that a lot now too. Like, I'm like, they're going to do it when they want to. The other thing is, in my opinion, and I am by no means any specialist, but when people are doing things that harm themselves, when they're like self-sabotaging, it's usually because they hate themselves, you know?
And that for me is like, not for me, but that is what happened with my brother. My brother, I'm sure, does not mind me sharing, but my brother struggled heavily with his sexuality, and he did not know how to come to grips with it. And as you know, as coming from a Black household, in a Christian Black household, there are certain things that are
You just don't do.
you just don't do.
Yeah.
It's a no-go. But
Yeah.
like, my mom loves him to death. When we found out, we could care less. But it was that fact of like, what does everybody else in the family have to say? And that drove him insane to where he didn't know how else to cope. That is the only way he knew how to cope. And so even now, like when he had his relapse last year, it was basically the same thing. Like, I still don't know how to cope. Even though we know we love you regardless, but now the trigger has already been pulled. And so he struggles. That's my brother. I'm gonna love my brother dearly. Like that is my ace, right along with my sister. But I appreciate
is he in like therapy or anything, or no?
He's getting there to the point to where like he is going to get therapy. We're looking at some therapists for him now. And now, just like I said, now that I'm in Charlotte, because I was traveling 3 hours like every weekend to go like back to my hometown to play at church. But like now that I'm here, me and my wife are only like an hour and a half away from him, so we can actually like be there when we need to for him,
Mhm.
which I'm elated and excited about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you sharing, Jackie.
Yeah, I
That was
think like the big thing with addicts, honestly, I think the big thing with most people, most human beings is that like we all get in our own way, right? Like we hate ourselves. And I think like it's super important to be loving to yourself and fall you have to fall in love with yourself. Like it's like Ian hated himself. He hated everything about himself. And that's why he kept on putting himself in terrible situations and was using heroin. Like, you think about using heroin. Like, it's just like, how much do you hate yourself to do something like that, you know? And so, like, I also wish that, like, we always told him how great he was and everything, but it's like, it doesn't matter how much we say it. He has to learn to love himself.
Yeah.
And so your brother needs to get, you know, I mean, and this is the thing, you can't force him because I didn't know I didn't know this now. This was after I had to go through my own self-love journey, you know? But it's like, you be like, hey, do you want to go to therapy together? You know, like I'd love if you went to therapy with me, you know? Yeah. And I think like that's one thing I would love to do. And then I've had a family member recently kind of go through some crises, and I was like, I'm going to pay for your therapy. Like these were two therapists who worked for me, and like I'm gonna pay for it. And not everybody has that luxury, right?
Yeah.
You know, then because I'll be honest, there's a lot of bad therapists out there too.
Oh, yeah,
You have to find someone who's gonna help you fall in love with yourself, you know? And I think like that's why like I'm like, I wish that, and we did encourage Ian, but we didn't do it enough. Like we should have been like, you're doing great, you're gonna get through this, you know? Because like literally there would be times where he got high and like crashed like the car into a ditch. You know what I mean? And we would be like, you just crashed a $30,000 car or something. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I think it's a lot easier said than done to not get mad about stuff like that. But it's like, we should have just been like, hey, Ian, like, we love you. We're here for you. But like, let's talk about this. You know what I mean? And be like, why do you feel like you need to use? And like, how can we make you love yourself more? You know what I mean? Like, just be like patient and kind and loving with them, you know? Because it's like, they already are dealing with so much hatred and shame themselves. Like, it's so much easier said than done. But I remember Ian came to me once and he was like, I relapsed. And he was like so upset. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, you're just not gonna, like, I was like, just, you know, you're good. Like, just don't give up, you know? And like, I could see how much his like body lifted and he like felt so just like hurt.
That's what it was for my brother this time. I mean, like this time that he relapsed, because I was there. Like this was one of the times where
that's
like
really
there.
That's so scary.
So,
that happened
like,
to my mom with Ian. Yeah.
And he, you know, we took him to the hospital. They had to Narcan my bro 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but they got him good, and he just cried and he was like, I am so sorry. And like all I could do was hug him and like, it's good, man. Like you good, you here. We gonna get you some help. Like, don't even worry about it. And we went back home and we like started looking at
that's
some
great.
things. So yeah, you really have to like just let them know that you are there. Reassure them that it's going to be okay. Like you said, just don't give up.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's so much easier said than done, but it's like, you just always have to be like, hey, I love you. If you need anything, I'm here. Cause I think that was another thing, was like, you know, he would do things and one person in the family, like for example, I had one family member completely cut off Ian, so that communication source went away. And again, I don't blame this person for that, but it was like they didn't know what to do. And this is back then. They were like, don't enable them and all this. We were getting all this misinformation, you know. And then I had another person in the family kind of do the same thing. And so then the one person is with Ian all the time, and then they're getting stressed out and pissed off. So then they lash out at him and he has nowhere to go, you know? And so then that one person who lashed out feels all this guilt. Like, it's just like they need to have support systems. And that the thing that I feel so bad for Ian was that like, yeah, like there was a couple people in the family who he could turn to. And I think I was one of them, you know, but I think that I still didn't do enough. Like I was on the other, and you know, people will be like, oh, but you had to live your life and do your thing. But I'm like, I kind of wish that I had stayed close to him or found a way to make it work, you know? And I blew up at him. Believe me, there was times where I was a shitty human. Like I was I think I was like in my late 20s when he was like going through it, you know? And so then we got into arguments that brothers and sisters get into, you know? And the thing is though, they don't have a lot of people in their life. So as soon as like Jacki and I are mad at each other, blah, 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 and I are talking, blah, 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 it doesn't really talk to me, and blah, blah, blah is mad at me. It's like, they have no one to go to. And that's why I think like the biggest thing I think is like, you just have to always, you have to be so patient and loving because they don't have a lot of people on their team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they don't have themselves. So it's like there's no
And they
like there's no
Yeah, they
fail
don't
safe.
have
There's no fail safe to when everyone else abandons them as well.
Yeah, because it's like, let's say I go and crash my car right now, right? Like I can, you know, I can be like, you made a mistake. This isn't your brightest moment, but you're going to get through it and you're going to be okay. Right. Like I've gone through a ton of therapy, so I'm not going to spiral, you know, but someone like them, let's say that it's an addict, they get arrested, they get thrown in jail, you know, it becomes like this huge, it evolves into something. So, and then they're like, Joe was saying, like already dealing with all this self-hatred, and then the family comes in and gets frustrated, or they don't even talk. Like, it's just like, this is a very long-winded answer to say that like they just need to make sure there's always an open door to go to. And I think that was the one thing that, unfortunately for Ian, I think that he felt like doors were closing on him all the time. And I don't blame anyone in my family for that, because like we didn't know what the heck, like I still don't think people who have members of their family doing heroin really know what to do. Like, do you all have a program? I don't know. Like there's stuff with ADAP and UCLA and the LA County Public Health Department, but it's like, how many people are seeking out those resources? And I think it's gotten better, but there's still a lot of shame to be like, hey, my family member is, you know, it's like, so I think first of all, it's like super brave of you to like say that, you know, and talk about it. And, you know, the one thing is like, I didn't have a great experience on the circle, you know. It was I was short. We all know that, you know. And
if you would have came in earlier though, you would have ran game.
I feel like that was probably
I feel like
that was the thing. Like you were the newest person there, and they're like, all right, no more new people. Okay,
even James, like when he came in, he was like, "You were the new one," and we had to. I was like, "You would have came in episode
that was like the
one."
only reason I feel like
I know. By the way, I played Marvel Rivals with James and Nick.
Shut up.
And Matt. Actually, yeah, we played a couple days ago.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of James. I'm a big fan of James beforehand. He's awesome.
So dope.
I've seen his comedy stuff, and he's awesome.
Hysterical. Honestly, our whole season gets along really well. Some of the other seasons they don't get along very well, but we all get along. But we don't talk as much as we used to, you know. But and again, I'm speaking from my experience. I don't have beef with anybody. There might be some stuff, you know, between other people, but yeah, I mean, I think we're really lucky with our season. Like the people are pretty awesome. What was the question? I forgot.
You were saying you didn't have the greatest experience on the circle. We were still talking about.
But the one good thing that came out of the circle was that like all these people messaged me and were like, dude, I understand. Like I have a family member who is an addict or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like not the greatest experience for me, but I think it helped a lot of people, you know, like I think it was like, hey, I'm not alone. Hey, yeah, like I have a family member like this, and like I know how she feels, and it's so terrible. And I do wish I won, because I would have given that money to the Asian American Drug Abuse Program, which is an amazing program. And they like help homeless people get on their feet. Like it's just like such an amazing nonprofit, you know. I think Ian is with me. I think you know, some people think it's crazy. I think I talked to him, you know, this is his shirt. I'm wearing his shirt. It's just like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know why this shirt is like my go-to. It's like one of my favorite shirts. It's just, it's one of his flannels, you know? And like you guys can
cry all over again. God,
like I know, no crying. Sorry. This is like all of our consoles from when we were kids.
Oh, the GameCube, the PlayStation back there, and Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Oh man,
is that a Dreamcast?
Pokemon Edition N64. Yeah. So yeah, this is like
Jacki, what's your address so I could just like come sneak in the night real quick?
Well, you know what's funny? Like I f***ed up. I was going through this whole like, you need to get rid of clutter and stuff. So I got rid of his like Xbox 360 and his PlayStation 2 and all that stuff. I totally fucked up. That shit's like, I should have kept it. Like those were, so I kind of in video games, I played like Super Nintendo and N64 and Nintendo like hard.
Yeah.
I did like the Dreamcast. And I like GameCube, but I was never a PlayStation girly till later.
Yeah,
You know,
I was big Xbox until like
yeah.
4.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
like I would even say I wasn't like a big Xbox person. I had like I came back into video games like in my late 20s or like early
Yeah.
30s. Like it was like I kind of took a long break, you know.
Yeah.
But gosh, they're my favorite like thing now. It's just a great way to escape from the world, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely. First and foremost, Jackie,
Yeah.
both honestly to both of you, because I'm the lone warrior here that hasn't had to deal with that. Obviously, gratefully so. But like for you guys to just be open enough to have this conversation, to share with, I want to say the world, but the world's not watching. So whoever does end up watching this, thank you guys so much for being vulnerable. Thank you guys so much for opening up your lives and your families to whoever it is, to me personally, but to everyone else who's watching. And I'll say this one more thing, like for us, like, obviously, Pete talked about the anime impact earlier, but for us, like this podcast, we started because we love anime. But for us, anime has done so much and has been there for so much for our lives. And so for you to share is obviously something that you got introduced to with your brother. And now to have that moment and talk about your brother on the show, I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to talk about that and being open and vulnerable with us. It truly does mean a lot to us for you to feel even comfortable enough to come on here and to share that with us. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. I'm always down to talk about Ian. I'm always down to talk about anime. We didn't even talk about top 5.
No, we didn't. So let's get to that. Let's get to that.
Really?
And, yeah.
Okay, let me say mine. Number 1 is probably Gungrave, which I never say, but I will tell you guys.
I feel like we're getting a lot of like personal Jackie stuff.
Yeah.
You're sharing some stuff that you don't normally do, and I love it.
I would never say that, like, if we were, like, on a show, I'd be like, no one's gonna know that. You know what I mean? Like, a big, production, I'd be like, no one's gonna know this one.
Yeah.
Gungrave is my favorite. And then I would say, and Ian didn't like Gungrave. He was like, it's all right. I was like, what? So we're different. But I do think I say Cowboy Bebop is my number 1 a lot. I think it's more my number 2, but it was Ian's favorite. So I kind of am like, and to me, it's definitely in my top 3 no matter what.
Yeah,
I have it tattooed on my side. It's a Sea Space Cowboy, and that was to Ian. It was to be like, Sea Space Cowboy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
But we're crying, Preston. I don't want you crying again.
I told you he's the crier. He's the crier.
Me too. And then Neon Genesis Evangelion, that changed my life. And then I would say Berserk for sure. I think Berserk is so underrated. Oh my god, you know what? I was gonna say Sailor Moon, but I might put Nana at 5.
Yes.
He loves
I might
Nana.
put Nana at 5. Nana. Okay, Joe, I don't know if you'd be a Nana fan.
I'm my palette for anime is diversifying, and I've tried to watch Nana. I couldn't find it, but now I know where to find it, so I'm gonna. Yeah. I tried to watch it, I couldn't watch it, but now I know where to find it, so I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, so these are my feelings on Nana. My boyfriend did not like it. He was like, "This is like a soap opera," and I was like, it is a soap opera, but there's like so much more complication to it because it's again like boundaries and forgiving people and like putting up with shit that you shouldn't be putting up with. And like low key, I think I think that the two Nanas should have been together. You know what I mean? That's
what I've heard.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Who is Ren? Get him out of here.
I know, but a lot of people in the LGBTQ community don't like that when people classify it as an LGBTQ because technically the writer did not write it explicitly that way.
Yeah.
But I do, like, for me, I think that dark-haired Nana, I think she loved brown-haired Nana. I think she loved her. I think she like her boyfriend and her, like they had a history and she was like, cool, like we're fine. We're in the band together. I really like, this is not canon. This is what Jackie's fan fiction is, it's like she loved the other Nana, but then she just didn't want the other, kind of was pulling like a Brandon Heat, like where she was like, hey, I'm just going to be here for you at all times. But like, and you can do what you want in your life, but like, I'm always here for you. And I think that she did love Nana like that. And I think the brown-haired Nana loved the black-haired Nana like that too. But I think like she's like, her personality is kind of like a space cadet,
she's so
airhead.
spacey.
Yeah, exactly. That I don't think she could even see and she's got a lot going on. She's like pregnant. She's dating a guy who's like verbally,
abusive,
psychologically abusive. Yeah. And so she's dealing with her own shit. Yeah. So I don't think she can even see that, but I think she literally I think is like kind of crushing on black-haired Nana before black-haired Nana is crushing on her. You know what I mean? Like I think she physically is like into black-haired Nana and like into her vibe and everything. She's just like, she has a crush on her. Right. And then I think that black-haired Nana falls in love with her.
Yes.
And so it's really, again, I love a bromance. I read this book on screenplays, and it's like, it doesn't, like, people just love to see people fall in love. And that doesn't mean it has to be a love story. Like people are physically intimate, but it's like people love to see a bromance or like, two women connecting, on a deeper level. But like, there has to be this like very special I don't know how to describe it, like intimacy level between them, right?
People like seeing other people connect with people because that's what we want. Like we want connection. Yeah.
In that first episode on the train, I was like, oh yeah, they are definitely going to fall. And I was like,
something's gonna happen. Yeah, I totally agree. And then, oh my gosh, I'm telling you right, when Nana, brown-haired Nana's boyfriend cheated on her with the short girl, my jaw, I was like, like I know I could have seen it coming. Like I should have seen it coming. I don't know why, but it's just like it's I don't know why. Nana's brilliant to me. Also, the music's amazing. Their fashion is phenomenal. So like the Sailor Moon in me who loves like 90s fashion, like it's just like, oh my god, they're both dressed. One's punk rock and the other one's like, and they both conservative, like business style dressing, but they both always look like amazing. Everybody, the other bandmates, like they all like dress.
Bald-headed guy, can't think of his name. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they all dress amazing. So yeah, I think I don't want to. Sailor Moon and Nana are tied. I think.
There you go. I've had 3 anime tied at number 5 for a while until we just did for our first episode. We did our top 10.
Boo you,
and
Joe.
So.
I want to hear. So, what are your all's top 5 really quickly?
Let's go. My number 1 is Yu Yu Hakusho. My number 2 is Your Lie in April. My number 3 is One Piece. My number 4 is Parasite the Maxim.
You said it right.
And number 5 is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist.
You tried it. Yes, it's good.
You hated Full Metal Alchemist. I feel like Full Metal Alchemist.
No. It's my number 1.
Which one you hate?
No, I didn't hate any of them. I was saying he FMAB used to be in his top 3 and now it's number 5. So that's why I give him crap for moving it down 2 spots.
FMAB is in my top 10, but it's not my top 5. I think it's a very good anime. And I think it's the best gateway anime. Like whenever someone's like, "Which anime should I try?" I'm like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because it's like it's dark, animation is good. I think the brothers are great. Roy Mustang is like a vibe. You know what I mean? Like all the characters are like really really fun. And Scar and his whole backstory. Like it's just like. Oh my gosh, I love Lust. Lust is like one of the sexiest
Lust is so good.
Lust is so good.
I love her. I need to cosplay her. I've always said that and I haven't. I don't know how that hasn't happened. Yeah, that's an easy. I would just have to get a black dress. It'd be so easy.
Yeah. Get the long nails too.
Yeah. And then she's amazing. So I understand, but for me it was like a very good emotional anime. It just didn't hit me as hard as the other ones. Like I just didn't have I didn't cry and I didn't like have like a like
Maze Hughes didn't cry at Maze Hughes dying.
That was tough,
the epitome of family man.
Joe, did you cry though?
Yeah.
Really
you cried? Crying with Roy. Me and him. It's a sad day for Ray.
Oh my gosh. I didn't cry, but I do think that it was really sad. Honestly, the saddest part was Nina. That was like
well, that just made me angry. That made me angry.
That made me really sad. When she was like I forgot what she said. What is it?
She said Edward. She said Edward.
Edward, and you're just like, no, dude, no, you didn't do that. And then he did that to his wife.
Yeah,
like, I was
exactly.
just like, dude,
Yeah, dude just made me angry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Shout Tucker, right?
Yeah,
he's
Shout
so
Tucker just made me
bad.
angry.
He's so bad. Yeah. So I get it. Like, there's some really that Shout Tucker moment is probably one of the most up moments in anime of all time.
For sure.
It's right below Griffith.
Yeah,
right
below Griffith. That's valid. I'll give you that. Griffith really, yeah. Not in his mind. In Griffith's mind, he did everything great.
Shout too. He was like, I get to continue to be a state officer.
This was for my family.
Yeah,
for my family.
He's arrested in the end, right?
Yeah, he is. But he doesn't realize that's what's about to happen, but he should have.
I don't know how anybody could think human experimentation on your wife or your
I
child
have no clue. You got to be a little messed up in the head.
This is not gonna end well. Like, I think that's pretty clear. But yeah. Okay, did you guys Preston did his top 5,
Preston
right?
did mine. So I did, and I'm blanking P because I deleted my note that I had.
I'll let you know. Go ahead.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I put Blue Lock at number 2. And you'd have to have been here for a while. Blue Lock for me, Asagi for me is like one of my most relatable anime characters of all time.
Joe will go on a 15 to 20-minute rant every time we mention Blue Lock.
So
I have not watched Blue Lock. I watched 2 episodes, and my boyfriend hated it. He was like, these guys are just like too much. They're like, I'm not gonna lie,
it's intense. It's intense.
It's a lot. They're like,
intense.
Everything is like to the top. And I was like, okay, so we changed it. And then I heard that the second season, like, the animation was terrible. So
the animation dropped off.
I'm not even gonna touch it.
It dropped, but the story is still
the story is really good. The story and characters are really, really relatable. Really good story. The animation,
I'll give it a try then.
Yeah, the animation picks up the last 3 or 4 episodes.
2 episodes. You're being generous.
I'm not, but because even Nagi's goal, Ballroom.
Yeah, but it was very much still slideshow.
Anyway, whatever. But the manga is really, really good. I'm die hard for the manga. So
okay.
Number 2 is Blue Lock. Number 3, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Great.
Yeah.
I said this in another anime podcast. Anyone who says Yu Yu Hakusho is in their top 5, like, I'm like, I respect you. Like, I don't like. There's people who be like, my favorite anime is, and I'm like, I know, I'm like, I'm not saying I disrespect you, but I know that I don't agree with you.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you just got here.
Yeah, when I hear someone say Yu Yu Hakusho, I'm just like, oh, like the music, characters, the world, the comedy, like it's like that's a great anime. So I'm always like, I approve. That's in anyone's top 5.
Yeah. Number 4 was One Piece, right, P? Episode number 4, One Piece, and then number 5 was Bungo Stray Dogs. Correct? That's what I said. Yeah, Bungo Stray Dogs. Bungo Stray Dogs. Man, it's got like really 6 seasons. It's really good. 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 in the movie.
It's on Crunchyroll. Okay, yeah. So yeah,
I've heard a lot of people talk about this one. I just haven't seen it.
Jacki.
Is it? Okay.
Jacki is good. It's really good.
I do love a detective thing. So
it's like it's so much too, and like the characters, you fall in love with all the characters, the good guys, the bad guys. I don't want to. If you're gonna watch it, I'm not gonna spoil nothing. I'm gonna just let you watch.
Don't. I might watch it. I'll try this. I like the first couple episodes. I'll watch it. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody is a main character. Like everybody
gets their time. Everybody gets their
time. By the way, talking about good anime, Sakamoto Days. Have you guys watched that?
So I'm halfway through.
It's so good.
I'm a manga reader, so I love Sakamoto.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I watched the first episode and I'm like,
good.
This is my favorite.
I got halfway through while I was doing some stuff, and then I had to go upstairs and be dad for a bit before I came down for the podcast. So I haven't finished it yet, but I know what's going on. I love Sakamoto Days. Absolutely love Sakamoto Days.
That's probably my favorite right now that I'm watching.
Oh yeah,
okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, are you a big solo?
Really
I feel like you talked about solo leveling a little bit. You like solo leveling, correct?
I like solo leveling. I don't think it's great
because of how it's him solo. Basically, he's the only character in the show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what the same issue that Corey had?
Yeah, I mean the same issue a lot of people have, which is understandably so. Like it's the other characters are just kind of there. They're not really like.
We talked about my favorite anime is all about relationships. It's all about intimacy. You know what I mean? And it's like solo leveling is about a guy solo leveling, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, okay, you know, like he does cool stuff. He gets into cool fights and cool shit
It's a
happens.
very shonen bro-esque type of show.
Very much so.
Very
Yeah,
serious.
but you know
Like,
what? You can say that, but then One Piece is all about relationships. Naruto's
oh,
all
very,
about
very true.
relationships.
Very true.
Oh, very
So
true.
it's like shonen. It's like I think successful shonen. It's about Attack on Titan was all about his relationships with his classmates. It's like you think of the big shonen, and it's like it's relationships and intimacy. Like I don't know if Solo Leveling is supposed to be a lot better season 2, but like I thought I think we've lost. Is there only 1 or 2 episodes out? We've watched
3 now.
one.
I think
Is it
3.
3? I haven't
3
even
either
seen the
just
second one
dropped
yet.
today. 3 drops tomorrow. 3 drops tomorrow.
I will
I've
say
watched
to me,
2, yeah.
Yeah, 3
I will
drops
say
tomorrow.
to me, this is the better season. But like I do understand your sentiment. I think Solo Leveling is very one dimensional. It's still a very good watch to me, or very good read, but
Yeah,
it
it's
is
one of
very
my-
much so one dimensional.
I've read. It was one of my favorite manhwas. I've read it like 3 or 4 times. So just because,
I
but that's
love that you read so much. I like don't have time to read anything. The only
But it's
manga
faster.
I read is One
Listen,
Piece.
listen.
Berserk.
It's so much
It is.
faster. Like find a series,
Really?
like find a
Yes.
new show that you like. Finish the first season. Like, if you like liked it that much, pick up the manga from where you left off, and I promise you'll cruise through it.
That's so true. That's actually, you know what I recommend for people who watch One Piece? I need to do a video on this. Go watch the live action. You know the characters and you have the world established for you. Now, go watch Egghead, okay? And start to keep up with the anime. And then in the meantime, read the manga. Because you will be able to understand.
I
the
get
main
it. I like
character.
how
Oda
you did
did
that.
say too, and
But
Oda did
I'm
say.
just saying, because it's like, it's when people are like, oh, I'm going to watch the whole anime. That's so daunting, dude.
Yeah.
So what I say is watch the live action and then keep up with the latest arc, whatever it is. Like right now it's Egghead. Obviously they're taking their hiatus right now, right? But it's like, watch the latest arc and then just fill in the blanks for the rest of it by reading the manga. Because like you said, it's so much easier to read than watch all that.
And too, especially now, people who are into anime now are into the high-end animation, right? So what you'll do is you'll skip out on all the low quality, I don't want to call it low quality, but the lower end animation, the early animation.
Early animation.
You'll read the manga, still get everything that you need to get, but while you're watching, you get to see high quality animation. Great. And we're at a point where the moments are like there's moment after moment after moment after moment after fight after moment.
Phenomenal.
I
stopped watching when the hiatus happened, you know, so I haven't been keeping up with Fishman Island. I know they like redrew it and it's like the animation's supposed to be really good. So I haven't been watching that yet. But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then the reanimation, they're doing the reanimation to the One Piece or whatever.
Yeah, I think they're condensing it to about maybe 300 episodes, 400 episodes.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they do, but I think that's going to be good for people.
Hopefully they'll cut out the filler because like I think that's the other reason why I recommend.
The pacing is atrocious.
The issue. Like they will play a repeat 7 minutes before we actually get into the story. like One Piece pacing is
it's a really good story, but it's like, I'll be honest, I think the manga's way better than the anime. I think that like keeping up with, I mean, Egghead's been, oh my god, that the fight. Oh my gosh, with the 3 guys in white, I was just like, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. The leopard guy.
Rob
CP0.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the newest. I haven't watched any of it. I think I watched the one fight with Zoro versus Mihawk's clone or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I've read everything, so I know.
Joe, that Rob Lucci versus Zoro fight.
Yeah,
hard.
Isn't it Luffy? It's Luffy and Lucci, right? That was what I remember.
So originally, they started. Lucci and Luffy started,
and then Luffy goes off, and Zoro's like, "Hey, I'll take care of him. You keep going."
Okay. So, I really think the animation is picked up now, and it's
100%.
I'm curious to see how they come back to when the hiatus is over, how things are going to be, because they got some crazy stuff coming up after this hiatus is over. It's about to be ridiculous.
It's about to be crazy. Final question: is there anything about your journey that you would change?
No, nothing. No, I think everything happens for a reason. I went through a lot of pain in my life, and obviously I'm like, well, I wish I didn't have to go through that, but it's also made me who I am, you know? I think that like sometimes I see people who haven't experienced a lot, and I'm just like, man, like It's just you're just a completely different person when you've experienced a lot of pain, you know. And I don't think everybody's built for that, you know. So it's like this is my path, and I'm happy with where I'm at. I was actually thinking that today. I was like, man, I'm like my life is super good, you know. Like I'm in a really good place, and I feel really blessed for that. So
Awesome.
no.
Awesome. Great. We love it, honestly, because I feel like that's the majority of the answer we get, which we absolutely love to hear, honestly. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, does anybody say I wish I could change something? I'm like,
there's
We've had a
usually
few.
a few things, but nothing like crazy. So I've been like,
Right.
I wish I would have done something slightly different here, but I wouldn't go back and change it. But if I did, this is kind of how
I wish I
it
didn't
played out.
drink. I don't. I had a really bad concussion, so I don't drink anymore.
I
don't
heard you
do
talking about this.
anything.
Yeah. I remember you talking about this.
God, so much wasted time partying and drinking and just doing stupid shit when I was younger. I think like, you know, a bunch of young people do that, but a lot of people my age still drink. And it's like, I'm just like the recently a health report came out that said that like the Surgeon General is going to start putting a warning on alcohol. I'm like, it's saying that it's cancerous. I'm like, dude, every neurologist says it poisons your brain.
Yeah.
Like it is linked to Parkinson's, strokes. Like your brain is being deteriorated by alcohol. It dehydrates you. Like it's just like not good for you. You know, I think like that's the one, like if I could go back in time, I just wish that like never did that. But it was a different time. I'm like almost 38, and back then everybody drank, you know. And I think it's kind of interesting.
When I found that out too, I was shook.
Yeah, I think there's this renaissance where people aren't drinking as much as they used to.
She's not catching up. She didn't even catch it. P's in shock that you're almost 38.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
I didn't even that now.
Yeah. I was saying the first time you talked about that, I think he posted it or whatever.
Yeah.
And someone commented something. He's like, actually, I'm 37 or 36 or whatever it was at that time. And I was like, wait, what? So, Jacki, you look amazing for almost 38, by the way.
You know what else ages you? Drinking, you know? So,
all right,
That's Jackie's secret. That's Jackie's secret. She doesn't drink anymore. That's how she looks so young.
Well, I'm like, I just wish I understood that earlier because, like, I was like, no, it's fun and I want to hang out with my friends. It's like, dude, you can hang. I'm in.
You could do all kinds of fun stuff.
Like, I just drink water. I just have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, you don't like. I think it does kind of weird people out sometimes, but then I'm just like, cool. Like, I'm doing my thing. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging anybody. Like, do what you want. I just think like drinking undoubtedly has an impact on your body and your brain. And I'm older now, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to mess with anything that's going to affect me. Also, after my concussion, I was literally like brain damaged for a year. So it's like, for me, it's like, I never bad. Anything.
That was a bad one then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad. I think because of volleyball, I've had multiple concussions that were not diagnosed. And then I had, and they say that, I mean, you're in the NFL, so you know this more than anybody. It's like, it's not like sometimes there's one really big bad one, but typically it's you have multiple.
The constant trauma.
There's
one. The constant trauma. In the last one, the one that like seals it could be like the least bad one that you had, but like all the stuff built up to that point is just like it just needed that one little thing to tip the scale. So
seriously, like, and it's really scary. Like my friend had a friend who was a snowboarder. And he had hurt his head multiple times, and then there was just one, and he never really came. Like it was just like he was brain damaged, and he never really came back from it. Like,
no, concussions are a scary. Concussions are a scary thing, man. They're really scary. So I've thankfully have only had one, and it was not diagnosed, but it wasn't even football related. But I will continue to hopefully protect my head.
The one thing, Joe, that's crazy is like I never had a concussion that was as bad as the one that I had. So like. I'd be like, when people had a concussion, I'd be like, what's wrong with them? Like,
it took me a while to understand, like, yo, like your brain is literally messed up. Like you can't function the way that you normally function.
I couldn't look at lights. It would like literally paralyze my whole body. Yeah. This whole side of my face was drooping. It was really bad.
People have concussions are no joke, man. Like like concussions are absolutely no joke. Long story short.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I don't drink anymore. Because it was like after the concussion, I was just like anything that could jeopardize my brain. And also I already told you guys I'm neurodivergent, so I'm very sensitive to anything. Like I drink caffeine. My boyfriend's like, why did you drink coffee today? Like, you know, so like, I'm very sensitive.
I need a clip of Jacki jumping off the walls in the morning.
Yeah, I was like, it's not a good look. I never drink more than one, and even if I drink one, I'm like, and he's like, oh my gosh, like stop. But I
Let's
love
get
the coffee taste, so that's like my vice. I do drink
some
coffee.
decaf. Get some decaf in you.
No, decaf don't.
Same.
No, it don't
Yeah,
taste the same.
it doesn't.
I mean, I don't drink decaf. I was just trying to help.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's not the same. I do think that if you're drinking like green tea or chai is probably better for you, but it's just like I just really love coffee with
Yeah.
half and half.
I was I know
I drank
matcha.
mine black.
I know matcha's a good like replacement,
That's
especially
great.
for like the caffeine aspect.
Yeah.
Like matcha tea is a really good replacement for coffee. But
I should probably do that. But
yeah, you should do that. Awesome.
Aw.
Well, Jacki, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
One for being our
Yay.
first guest of this season 3. So thank you so much for being our first
Oh my
guest.
god, I was on
so-
season 3 of The Circle. Did you guys do that? on
Yeah,
purpose?
yes. Look, full circle moment. I love it.
Full circle.
Yes.
moment.
Thank you so much for being a guest, our first guest of this season. You were absolutely amazing. Again, no more
Yay.
apologies. So let's work on
Yeah.
that no apologies thing.
like
Absolutely. But we greatly appreciate your time. Guys, all of Jacki's links are down below in the description. Make sure you guys go support her, show her some love. Jacki, thank you so much for opening up to us. Thank you much for
Appreciate
being so feeling comfortable enough again to talk about your brother, your experiences, and just your life in general. It truly does mean a lot for us to be able to have a platform where people feel comfortable enough to come and share that. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Again, Miss Jacki, we appreciate it so much. This was a blast. Thank you so much.
It was your best episode. Just saying.
Let's go.
Hey, I like
I'm
it.
totally joking. I don't
That's
know.
Bo-
I'm sure
no,
it's
no,
gonna be
no,
good.
Boa
Stop. No
Hancock
sorry.
energy.
No sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's Boa Hancock energy. We love it.
I know, right? Exactly. That is so Boa Hancock energy. She's like, obviously, this is the best one. I love it too because she says things without like any sarcasm or apology.
No, she's dead
Oh, she
serious.
like
dead
literally.
She
it's
means what she
so
says.
Great.
The
It's
only person
so
that throws her
great.
off her game is Luffy.
It's Luffy.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like the silliest thing ever, but it's One Piece and you love it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you, everybody that stuck around and watched this entire episode. It means a lot to us. Again, go support Jacki.
Yep.
And with that, we're out. Peace.
Peace.